that something like a third of the dollars that go into city neighborhoods actually go, targeted to poor people, actually go to poor people. The other 2/3 go to helpers, to people whose job it is to fill up empty folks. Somewhere there's a problem there. We also know now that this map, this needs map, busts up local relationships. Because if I, like you, were experiencing welfare, for example, I would have to pay a lot of attention to my welfare worker because she's my lifeline, right? Every time I turn out there to my welfare worker, it's one less time I turn to my neighbor, to my church, to my block club to solve problems, you see? So by not using them, my relationships with my immediate block dry up, right? They just fall apart. So this needs map and its power busts up relationship. The other thing it does, obviously, is create a constant cycle of dependency. We got to go back next year and tell our funders that things just got worse despite all our best efforts, right? Because that's the only way we can get the money. That's the way the game's been set up. Last thing I want to say about the consequences of the needs map and its power is that I now think that the power of the needs map helps me to understand sometimes why so many people are so hopeless about our communities, right? If I'm your age, Sherman, and I'm in a neighborhood that I think is nothing but needs and problems, I don't see a future in that neighborhood. And my temptation is to go to the quick drug money, or whatever the quick money is, because I don't want to invest in myself. I don't see a future in that neighborhood for me. You see what I say? So I don't invest in myself, right? And I'm hopeless, right? But I also think that the hopelessness of our leadership in the State House, in city halls, and even in the White House and Congress can be explained by the power of that needs map. Because if that's really those needs, if that's what we think cities are, and city neighborhoods, and low-income communities, if that's what we think they really are, we know someplace that pouring money into those neighborhoods on the basis of the needs map is like pouring it down an ever-deepening well, right? And we know that the game we've set up means that they will have to come back next year and ask for more money because we've set up the game to reward failure, right? Those are just a few of the kinds of consequences that I think now the power of this needs map have. If even some of those are true, the good news is that in community after community where we collected these hundreds of success stories, everybody was engaged in the act of throwing out the needs map, discarding it, and saying with Mrs. Johnson, that's somebody else's idea about who we are. We need a different kind of map. Let's draw one. And so they've done that. And most of the rest of our discussion tonight and in our next sessions will be about the other map that they've drawn. John, do you want to just introduce us briefly to that?
Right. The other map, of course, is the map that identifies the full half. And here's a way of thinking about that map. It's a map that has three basic building blocks. They are the three building blocks we found in every neighborhood that was growing power. They are the gifts of individuals, the power and the work of the associations of citizens, and the assistance and support of local institutions. And it is those three building blocks that are really central to the possibilities of community building. Now, on the west side of Chicago, there's a wonderful organization that has understood this and built a new kind of organizing process based upon the gifts and the capacities, on the assets of a neighborhood. The leader of the organization is Jackie Reed, and let's hear her tell about how that goes.
The Westside Health Authority is a coalition of 29 community organizations. Most of the organizations are grassroots neighborhood groups that consist of, who have many members who are block club members. It's called the Westside Health Authority because we believe that the people who live in the neighborhoods really are the authority on our community. For so many years, we have not been given credit for what we know out here. You've had experts to come in the neighborhoods with their solutions. solutions that have been born out of universities researching and what have you. But these solutions have not worked. We've seen so many problems just continue to get worse. So basically, we were looking for ways in which our own community people, citizens in the neighborhood, could begin to come up with their own ideas and see their own ideas manifested and work and put into public policies to make a difference in our neighborhoods. So we are the authority. We are not a social service agency. I am a social worker by profession, and after working 20 years in social service agencies, I really wanted to use my ability to help plan and direct a way for community people to give their gifts and not depend upon professionals. Now, this is not to say that professionals don't contribute and make a contribution to our community, but I think over the past 20 years we have seen an upsurge in dependency on professionals, and that has meant that many people in our own neighborhoods have lost their own confidence in their abilities to do things for each other, to do things for their neighbors. You know, when you basically turn a neighborhood into something where clients live and a place where services are provided, then people don't want themselves to be associated with that neighborhood. So this is not a place where services are provided to people. This is a place where opportunities are provided for people to serve each other, to give to their neighbors, to help rebuild the community. And I think that the only way community will be rebuilt is that we can find the gifts and capacities of everybody in our neighborhood and give them an opportunity to give their gifts back to our community.
So Jackie Reed is telling us about what a community that is renewing itself has as its center, and it is not clients. It is not people being served. It is citizens and their capacities, their associations, and serving institutions. And it is each of those three basic assets that we'll be focusing on in this session and the next two sessions, so that we can really become very clear by reminding ourselves of the central community building assets. So for the rest of this evening, we're going to be focusing on the gifts of individuals,